Picture this. Your SP asks you out and confesses their deep feelings. They're the sweetest, most romantic partner ever. Your friends are envious. It's a whirlwind romance. They propose. It's the most beautiful ring you've ever seen. Fairy tale wedding. Amazing honeymoon. You're on top of the world. You've never felt more loved. Everything's perfect. Oh, but one more thing. You're mad at them. What? Exactly. That's how much sense you're making when you're trying to manifest a perfect relationship with your SP, but you're mad at them. I get it. I've been there too, where I'm trying to manifest better behavior from someone, but at the same time I'm mad at them. Sometimes I do that while being aware of how counterproductive that is. But you have to remember, Neville Goddard said, feeling a state produces that state. So if you're going to be mad at SP, you're only going to manifest more events that cause you to stay mad at them. Remember, if you had your ideal dream relationship with them right now, would you be dwelling on past pain? Heck no. You'd be basking in love, in joy, in trust. So how do you let go of the anger of the canceled dates, the hot and cold, the flaky texts, the hurtful words, and step into your dream reality where you feel happy, loved, appreciated, understood? Hi, I'm Liana. I help people manifest their dream lives, and I want to share with you the best methods I've found to help people overcome anger and resentment at their SP. First, I want to share a success story told by Neville Goddard himself to show you how dramatically your reality can improve once you stop being angry at the person that you're trying to change. In his recorded lecture, Mental Diets, Neville Goddard was telling the story of this girl who came out to him and was complaining that her employer was always rude and critical towards her. She would try her hardest and he would just reject everything she did and would basically unfairly bash her work. When Neville heard this, he told her, "You must be arguing with him in your head." She confessed that she was and agreed to change the inner conversation she was having. So instead, she started imagining that he was congratulating her on her work, and she'd imagine thanking him for his praise and kindness. And it worked. Her boss did a complete 180 and started praising her and being nice to her. So the question I always get asked about this is, I know I need to feel like the version of myself that has that dream relationship, but they were crappy to me in the past. How am I just supposed to move past that? Here's the thing. Even if they were crappy to you in the past, in your ideal future or in the best timeline where you're the happiest, you would have found a way to move past that. Something would have happened to help you move past that. So your SP either would have given you the best explanation, one that you honestly could accept, or they'd shape up and turn their entire life around for you out of devotion and love, and they would have taken back everything they have done and actually taken responsibility and apologized properly for it. 3, you'd realize there was a massive understanding and what you thought was jerk behavior actually was something else. It could be any number of things. You could come up with infinite stories that would work. Or my favorite, which is that you fully realized you create your reality, and you fully see that your mental actions, negativity, nasty thoughts, bad moods, dwelling on memories, arguing with them in your head, created this undesirable version of your SP. And you fully understand that everyone is you pushed out, meaning everyone behaves according to how you feel about them, what you believe about them, what you expect of them. And after these realizations, you take full responsibility for how they acted, you tweak your mental actions a little bit, and everyone treats you fantastically well. That would be my favorite story. But you can pick whatever story you want. Basically, in short, you have to feel like you are the person that is already in that perfect, ideal relationship with your SP right now. The law is simple. Not necessarily easy, but it is simple. Kind of like trying to get a half-court shot on your first try. The rules are simple, but it's not easy. Luckily, I have a few tips for you that can make this easier. First, my favorite technique for not being mad at someone anymore is to fully understand that you create your reality. I know you know this on some level, but you need to remind yourself until you know it emotionally and deeply, until it's like the first thought that comes to your mind. And what worked for me and worked for a lot of other people is gathering evidence to prove this to yourself. How do you do this? Going forward, you can start writing down how you feel about things. That could be people, events, your job, your school, politics, whatever. Write down how you feel about them, positive or negative, the thoughts you think, the expectations you have. Wait a little while and then see how things turn out. You'll always see that your expectations, the beliefs that you had about them, inevitably play out and unfold in your 3D. So for example, if you're fearful about politics, what happened? If you keep thinking about how much your friend sucks in one aspect, what happened? They did something that made you think they sucked. Or if you feel like your incompetent coworker is gonna mess something up, what happened? They messed something up. You'll eventually see there is a 100% correlation. Whatever happens, you always held a belief or expectation, or you were dwelling in the feeling, negative or positive, shortly before the event that aligns exactly with what happened. Now, if you want results or proof now, you don't have time to wait, then what I would recommend is sitting down and remembering every single event big or small, that happened in your life or the lives of people you're close with. It can be a big event or an achievement, or it could be something as minor as like arguing with your best friend in 4th grade or winning a contest. Ask yourself, really dig deep, how did you feel in the days, weeks, or months leading up to that? You'll always have your answer. Even if at first it's not obvious, you'll always be able to find one belief or one assumption that you persisted in this whole time that reflected perfectly in a 3D event. So that's my first tip, basically proving to yourself that what you believe about people, what you think about them, how you feel about them, reflects exactly in the way they behave later. Which leads me into my next tip. Replace the old story with a new story that works for you. I'm a huge fan of making up your own story. After all, it's your life, so you should write it. Spin it so that it has the best outcome for you. So for example, maybe your SP stopped talking to you out of nowhere. Instead of thinking, oh, he hates me, or he doesn't like me, tell yourself instead, oh, he was intimidated. He thought I was out of his league. He thought I wasn't interested. I've literally had this happen to me with an ex where we were getting along like a house on fire. And one day he just suddenly stopped talking to me. And I was like, wow, that's really weird, because we went from spending all day together to absolutely nothing. And I figured if he wanted to reach out, he'd reach out. You know, I don't chase. So we didn't talk for a long time. Turns out we were talking to a mutual friend, and we had both asked her to keep what we were saying a secret, so she couldn't say anything. But she eventually convinced him to write me some letters to tell me how he felt. And when he did, he told me that he loved me more than anything, but this was the summer before I was leaving for medical school. And essentially he just felt like because I was going to become a doctor that I was out of his league. And he assumed that I would want somebody else. Anyway, other stories you could tell yourself are maybe their phone broke and that's why they haven't gotten back to you. Maybe they started developing deeper feelings from you and that scared them. Maybe before, when you guys were just friends, they weren't that shy. But now when they felt like the stakes are a lot higher and they're afraid to lose you, they keep typing out messages to you and deleting them because they're just too scared. Remember, the story of what you tell yourself about a person in your head is how they're going to reflect. So it doesn't matter what the 3D's been showing. I know that you can come up with a story that makes this make sense. Maybe their friends or family misunderstood what you were like and are convincing them not to talk to you. Maybe you can clear that up and end up having them all love you. Maybe their best friend likes you too and is trying to sabotage your SP's chances with you. You never know what will happen. Like, you're free to come up with the most fantastical story because it's your life. And like they say, truth is sometimes stranger than fiction. Some of the things that actually happen in real life are way more fantastical than fiction. So you can make up whatever story that you want that would lead to the outcome that you desire. Basically, ask yourself what would need to happen in 3D for you to get to your dream relationship. And sometimes that might be some crazy misunderstanding, and that could be part of your story too. Or maybe SP realized that they made a horrible mistake and they did a lot of soul searching and really regretted how they treated you in the past. Maybe they felt like they didn't deserve to talk to you after they hurt you, and they're working on themselves before coming back to you again to present to you the best version of themselves that they couldn't give to you before. See, stories like that would explain why they were bad to you before, why they're not talking to you now, and how they come back in the future to be the ideal version of themselves in a way that would allow you to forgive them and be really happy with them. You're the creator of your life, so you can write it any way you want. My next tip is based on my favorite quote. You get what you concentrate upon. There is no other main rule. This is from Seth, who was channeled by Jane Roberts. It basically says whatever you dwell on, you get. Feeling a state produces that state, as Neville Goddard would put it. So to apply this tip, you basically want to start focusing on everything you like about them. Even though you might be angry at them, I know that there are things you like about them. Think of ways that they are agreeable. So you can think about their smile, how they're a good cook, they're a loyal friend, the way they're generous with their time, maybe they're sweet with animals, how kind they are to strangers, whatever it is. If you're focusing on what you like about them, then in that moment you're not thinking about what you don't like about them. Because again, if you get what you concentrate upon, you definitely don't want to think about the bad things. And your mind can really only focus on one thing at once. And that's part of the beauty of that technique, is every moment you spend being grateful or being in admiration of your SP is a moment you're not mad at them. So when you do this, you start to shift the tides from previously your anger is manifesting a reality where you continue to be angry at them, where they continue to do stuff that makes you angry at them. But if you can cut this short and start to change what's going on over here so that you're dwelling less on what makes you mad about them and you're thinking more about what you like about them and how agreeable they are, then you start manifesting a reality where they come to be more likable and more agreeable. When you feel positively about them, you start to create more events that cause you to feel more positive about them. Think of it this way. If you create your reality and you're mad at them, then it's kind of like playing with Barbie dolls and constructing a little story and having them act it out and then being mad at the Barbie dolls for what they did. It makes no sense. It's like writing a play or a book and then being angry at your own characters. You made this reality, this 3D, only to be mad at it. It seems absurd, but I get it. It's easy to get caught up in it because reality is so real and so immersive. It happens to us all, like even the source teachers, even Neville Goddard himself sometimes got caught up with the 3D reality. But eventually you have to realize this and you have to take responsibility and change the way that you view things. That's the difference between people who are trapped by the 3D and unable to improve their circumstances and people who are able to disentangle themselves and manifest their best life. And remember, Neville said that you can't serve two masters. You either create your reality and people react to your thoughts and feelings, or the law isn't true and people act independently of your thoughts and feelings, regardless of what you think. Which one is it going to be? You can't serve two masters. You have to pick a lane. A lot of people would say, but I've seen evidence for both. But have you though? Because like I said, if you truly go back in time in one of the earlier exercises and you look at every event that ever happened to you that so convincingly seems like it's the effect of a physical cause, and you ask yourself, what were my thoughts, feelings, and imaginings and expectations shortly before this happened, in the days, weeks, months before it happened? Like I said, you'll always find some that align with what happened. So how can you say for sure that it wasn't your thoughts that created that? I want to say that you can't rule out that the law isn't real if you actually haven't been executing it properly. That's like me burning a grilled cheese and being like, well, I skipped steps 2 to 6 of the recipe and I didn't get a grilled cheese, instead I got like a burnt pile of toast. Therefore, cooking is a sham. I always knew that cooking was fake. See, it didn't work. I followed half the instructions half-assedly and it didn't turn out well. I knew it. Gordon Ramsay's a liar. It's just a sham. Like if I said that to you, you'd be like, what? No. You didn't follow the recipe. You didn't do it right. So you can't just say that cooking is fake. In a story earlier, I mentioned about how that girl stopped having mental arguments with her employer and he started being nice to her. So you need to stop having mental arguments with your SP in your head, even if they were crappy to you in the past. Like I said, you either have to see them as a reflection of your past thoughts and feelings, or you have to see them from the perspective of the law is completely not real. They act independently of my thoughts. And if that's the case, then why are you even bothering to manifest in the first place if you don't believe in the law anymore? It's just like the example with the girl and her employer who went from being a dick when she was arguing with him in her head to being nice to her when she stopped. You can't be fighting with your SP in your head. So like, whatever you're doing, like stop imagining calling them out for being flaky. Stop imagining fighting with them because they cheated. Stop imagining calling them out for leaving you on red or arguing with them about a third party. Instead, you want to start having conversations with them in your head that imply that you guys are in your dream relationship together. I know it's gonna feel really weird at first because you just went from being really mad to like suddenly being really lovey out of nowhere in your head with this person who hasn't conformed to 3D yet. But like Neville said, signs follow, they do not precede. So you want to start imagining things like them saying they're sorry, they can't believe that they ever possibly treated you like that, or they didn't realize that it hurt you so much. Whatever story you pick, write a dialogue around that. You can imagine them saying they wish they could go back in time and change everything. And you can imagine, just like the girl imagined herself saying thanks to her boss, you can imagine saying to them, it's okay honey, everything's perfect now. Or, I forgive you, life is just wonderful now. I'm so happy with where we are right now. As Neville said in his lecture, Mental Diets, our attitudes unfold within us in the form of mental conversations. Inner talking from premises of fulfilled desire is the way to consciously create circumstances. Our inner conversations are perpetually outpictured all around us in happenings. Therefore, what we desire to see and hear without, we must see and hear within, for the whole manifested world goes to show us what use we have made of the word. Basically, he's saying that whatever inner conversations you have get reflected out into the world. So whatever you want to hear outside in physical reality, you have to start hearing inside. And that's definitely not arguing with your SP. It's having loving, trusting, open conversations. And if you want, and depending on what you want, that might include apologies, or you can just skip entirely to the end of you being in that dream relationship where all this is behind you and you guys are just happy and on top of the world. Now, if something happened recently between you and your SP that's causing you to spiral and freak out, you might want to check out this video I made on how to use the law to rein in anxiety and fear. Otherwise, feel free to check out my next video here. Remember, you create your own reality, and you got this.